This video gives the functions of the legislative branch and the process of making laws. The legislative power of the government is vested upon the Congress of the Philippines in accordance with the 1987 Constitution. The Congress is divided into two chambers, the House of Representatives or the lower house and the Senate of the Philippines or the upper house. The Senate of the Philippines is composed of 24 senators elected at large, while the House of Representatives is composed of not more than 250 members, 20% of which is composed of party list representative. A qualified candidate for both the Senate and the House of Representatives must be a natural-born citizen of the Philippines, able to read and write, and a registered voter. The difference is that the Senate requires that the person must be at least 35 years old and a resident of the Philippines for not less than 2 years before election day. A candidate for the House needs to be at least 25 years old and a resident of the Philippines for at least 1 year in the district where he or she will be elected, except for the party list representatives.
How long does these senators and representatives will serve in our country?
The senators will serve for 6 years and shall not serve for more than 2 consecutive terms. The representatives, also known as congressmen or women, will serve for 3 years and shall not hold office for more than 3 consecutive terms. In case of vacancy in the Congress, under Section 9 of Article 6, a special election may be called to fill such vacancy in the manner prescribed by law, but the senator or member of the House of Representatives thus elected shall serve only for the unexpired term. The primary function of the legislative branch is the creation, enactment, and amendments of laws. Proposed laws may come from the senators or representatives themselves, the people they represent, district, province, or the party, or the other 2 branches of the government. These proposals are drafted into a bill.
What is a bill? What are the basic processes of creation and amendment of laws?
A bill is a draft of law presented of legislation for enactment by the approval by Congress and the President of the Republic.
The basic process of creation or amendment of a law begins with a bill submitted by a senator or representative and filed for the first reading. The first reading is for the Senate President or the Speaker of the House reads out the title, bill number or author's name and assign the bill to the proper Senate or House committee. Author or the concerned community will send out an invitation to the various concerned parties, organizations, and stakeholders for the public hearing of the bill to review the proposed bill and give their comments during the delivery session. The community can hold a technical working group meeting for specific change to the provision, such as proper concept, correction of grammar, and detection of or addition of certain phrase of words.
After the approval of the bill by the committee members, a committee report is then filed when its approved version of the bill to the Committee on Rules for the second reading. In the second reading, the author of the bill or the chairperson of the committee delivers a sponsorship speech. It is followed by a period of interpellation wherein other senators or representatives may debate or ask further questions to the sponsor of the bill. After the interpellation, the senators or representatives may make some amendments.
The representatives or the senators again vote for the passage of the bill on second reading. As a general rule, a bill must pass both the Senate and the House. Note that 2 versions of a bill are processed simultaneously in both chambers. The final version of the approved bill by both chambers is then printed for approval. or if there are disagreements between the two chambers is on the final version of the bill, a bicameral conference committee is created to make the necessary changes before printing out the final and reconcile the version of the bill. Another period of interpolation follows, after which the senators and the representatives vote for the third reading of the bill. Upon last reading of the bill, no amendment shall be allowed.
Upon approval of the final version of the bill by both chambers, the Senate President and the Speaker of the House shall sign the final copy, now known as the enrolled bill, and send it to the President for approval and signature. The bill becomes a law upon the signing of the President. In case of objection from the President, the enrolled bill is vetoed and returned to the House where the bill is originated. If the House of Representatives or the Senate still reconsiders the bill, at least two-thirds of all the members of the House shall vote for the bill to become a law. Failure by the President to act on the enrolled bill within 30 days upon his or her receipt, the bill becomes a law as if the President has signed it. Other than a bill, each House can make resolutions. A resolution conveys principles and sentiments of the members of the Senate or the House of Representatives. There are three different types of resolutions. 1. Joint resolutions require the approval of both chambers of Congress and the signature of the President and have the force and effect of a law if approved. 2. Concurrent resolutions used for matters affecting the operations of both chambers of Congress and must be approved in the same form by both houses but are not transmitted to the President for his or her signature and therefore have no force and effect of a law. 3. Simple resolutions deal with matters entirely within the prerogative of one chamber of Congress are not referred to the President for his or her signature and therefore have no force and effect of a law.
Principles of separations of power. Each government branch is not permitted to encroach upon the powers confided to others. The arbitrary rule will result if the same body is to exercise all the powers of the government. Principle of checks and balances. Authorizing a considerable amount of encroachment or checking by one branch in the affairs to others. Each branch is given certain powers with which to check the others. President may disapprove bills enacted by Congress. Congress may reject appointment by the press. The judiciary may declare unconstitutional laws passed by the Congress. Executive Number 464, September 26, 2005. This is to implement the constitutional provisions on the separation of powers between co-equal branches of the government. All heads of departments of the executive branch of the government shall secure the consent of the President before appearing before either House of Congress. Supreme Court ruling on EO 464, Congress undoubtedly has a right to information from the executive branch whenever it is sought in aid of legislation. If the executive branch withholds such information on the ground that it is privileged, it must so assert it and state the reason therefore and why is most be respected.
This video will give you a clear explanation on how a bill becomes a law.
How are laws made? In the Philippines, a law starts off as a bill filed in Congress. It then goes through a process which culminates with its submission to the President for his consideration. Once signed, the bill thereafter becomes law. To learn about how this process works, we have to first look at the Congress of the Philippines. Congress is divided into two chambers. The House of Representatives, which is composed of district and party list representatives, and the Senate, which is composed of senators. A member of Congress can file a bill. A bill is a proposed legislation, hence it's called panukalang batas, which identifies a societal problem and provides a solution to solve that problem through the passage and implementation of a new law. Once a bill is filed, it has to go through 3 readings. For the first reading, the bill is introduced to the plenary and is referred to the appropriate committee. A committee is a body within the House of Representatives composed of a limited number of House members. They concentrate on specific topics for legislation. After receiving the bill, the committee members deliberate the provisions of the bill, bring in resource persons and experts as part of technical working groups, and edit the bill if necessary. The end point of committee action is the resulting committee report of the bill, which is voted upon by the members of the committee. An approved committee report will then be referred to the Committee on Rules, which schedules the same for sponsorship, interpellation, and amendments at the plenary level. The plenary is composed of all members of the House. There, the bill is sponsored by the main proponent of the proposed law. The sponsor will be interpellated by his fellow members. He must defend the bill and reason with his colleagues that it must be passed. Some questions may be asked. Is there really a problem? How does the bill solve that problem? Is this the best approach available? Is the bill constitutional? The members of the House can then introduce amendments to the bill. The bill that survives this process intact or with amendments will then be set for second reading, where all the members will vote to approve the bill in its final form. The bill will then be set for consideration on third reading. At least 3 days before that date, printed copies of the bill are distributed to all the members of the House for their review. On third reading, they vote whether or not to approve it. A bill approved on third reading shall then be transmitted to the Senate. The Senate can concur with the bill. If the Senate concurs, the bill is then enrolled and transmitted to the President for his signature. If the Senate and the House do not agree on the provisions of the bill, a bicameral conference committee is created. This committee is composed of representatives from both the House and the Senate. Together, they harmonize the differences of the bill and produce an amended or new version which is transmitted back to both the House and the Senate for ratification. Once ratified, the bill is enrolled, which means the Speaker of the House, the Secretary General of the House, the President of the Senate, and the Secretary of the Senate sign the bill and transmit it to the President for his signature. The President studies the bill and can either sign it as it is, sign it with vetoed items, which means there are provisions that he rejects, or veto the bill outright. A bill that is signed by the President shall now become law. The law shall then take effect after its publication, either in the Official Gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation.